Boom, episode 8. Yeah. Almost at double figures.
Yeah. The toughest times to do this kind of podcast is when you're a bit tired from sleep, you know?
100%, yeah.
How much sleep do you need?
Do I need or do I get?
Well, how much do you get?
On average, I probably get around... I'd say 5 to 6 hours at most these days.
They say, obviously, you're meant to have more than that. I mean, everyone knows
well, they reckon
7 to
about
9.
8, right? Yeah. Well, it depends on if you're young or not as well.
Yeah, that's right. It changes as you age.
Teenagers and stuff need like 10.
But here's the interesting thing. This is, I was just looking up some info on this. It's not all these recommendations that everyone knows. The thing is, sleep latency. That is actually the telling factor.
What do you mean?
Okay, how long does it take you to fall asleep when you hit the sack?
Oh, okay. I'm usually pretty quick. Like, if I'm reasonably tired, I would say maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's about right. So 15, 20, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
If it's straight away,
are you the same?
You're too tired. Nah, it's mixed up. Sometimes I hit the sack straight away. It means I'm too tired because I'm going to sleep straight away. And other times it takes me about an hour or more, which is, I'm sleeping too much. That's because I've caught up on the next day.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like an hour. But
15, 20 minutes is meant to be right.
So how do you feel when you get like 6 hours, for example?
I'm bad. I need 7.
Functional?
I need 7.
Yeah.
I know I need 7 because I have to catch up usually in a subsequent day.
Yeah, because you know how there's that thing about how humans can kind of adapt to anything within like 30 days, roughly 30, 40 days. I think I've been getting 6 hours sleep for the past at least 6 months now.
I think you've adapted.
100%. I think I've adapted, and in terms of actually how I feel. I actually feel pretty bright and awake at that time.
That's good then. I think your body's adapted. But it's interesting, the Navy SEAL training, we were watching this doco the other day, and they said they sometimes runs Navy SEALs through a week with 4 hours sleep total.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's just Navy SEALs, but that whole sleep deprivation thing, obviously they want to test you or test them under really stressful conditions and see how they operate and can they make, good choices, can they critically think, and that sort of stuff. And the thing is, it's not even limited to Navy SEALs, like one of my good mates, he had to spend some time in the Norwegian army, so they basically made people have these posts where they weren't allowed to sleep for more than 4 hours.
Sounds like the movie Platoon.
Yeah,
Charlie Sheen got caught out as Chris Taylor.
Yeah, that's right. He got caught napping. Got caught napping, but it wasn't actually him. He got blamed for it.
He got blamed for it. Yeah. Great film, Platoon. Do you think it's interesting that we basically sleep 1/3 of our lives? Like if a day's 24 hours, he makes sleep about 8.
100%. Yeah. Do you remember on Seinfeld they had an episode where Kramer, I think it was, had this period where he decided not to sleep because he wanted to be more productive.
Yeah, and he went crazy.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I tried that. Did you know I tried that?
No, I didn't know that. How long did you try for?
2 weeks.
And did it work?
Okay, so for the
you mean literally didn't sleep?
Well, yeah, no. I
slept as little as you could.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I made a conscious decision. This is back at uni days, but I made a conscious decision to sleep for an hour a day.
And what was the outcome of your...
Okay, so at the beginning, it was fantastic. So I was up late at night. Yeah. I'd be drawing, I'd be reading, I'd be doing all this stuff. But then, obviously, as the week progressed and got into the second week, I kind of went a bit crazy, I think. My friends told me at the time anyway, they're like, dude, what's wrong with you? And I said, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, and they were like, oh, you're pretty skittish and you're pretty, just on edge and stuff. And I'm like, oh, damn. And I ended up sleeping for 3 days after that.
Yeah,
literally.
Up.
Yeah,
needed it.
It wouldn't have been like 72 hours in a row.
It doesn't reconcile the loss, but it helps.
But I think it was actually the converse. So what ended up happening was I ended up sleeping for around about 23 hours a day.
Did you ever use music to help you sleep?
I think generally I would use books or I would use just media, so TV shows or movies generally to fall asleep instead.
With music, I was thinking back to a time when I was in America, I think 2002, whatever. 2003, sorry. And Neil Young hadn't toured Australia for about 13 or 14 years at that point.
Neil Young.
And do you remember, I was going to fly back to Australia to see Neil Young with you, because at that point we didn't know if we were going to see Neil Young again.
I remember that. Yeah, because we thought, man, like he hasn't visited for 13 years and this might be the only chance that we get to see him. And I mean, I've loved Neil Young since I was a kid, and you have as well, obviously, and but it never actually came to fruition.
No, it didn't happen in the end because basically I couldn't afford it. I was in the States, and
it was hard call.
It was a gung-ho thing. I was really ready to rock it and do it, but then luckily he came to Australia I guess, was it 6-7 years later?
Yeah.
And we got to see him at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, which is now defunct. But it was a great venue where we got ground floor space. And do you remember some of the songs that were highlights when we saw Neil Young?
Oh, absolute favourite Neil Young song, Cortez the Killer.
Yeah,
that was amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Needle and the Damage Done.
Yeah.
Can't go past that. What about you? Did you have any standouts that were just...
One of the big ones that I still remember to this day is he signed off with Rockin' in the Free World.
Oh, he loves to do that. Yeah. He loves it.
It is such a... I don't know, jovial's the right word, but it's such a...
it's a pumping rock anthem,
that's for sure. Yeah, it really gets you going. And I remember being on the floor, and I rarely danced, but I kind of moved a little bit because it was just the spirit of the thing. And,
well, that's it. It's one of those things where everyone really gets involved in it, and that's one of the beauties of it. Like, I was actually...
Do you have any memorable you're talking about these festival concerts?
Yeah.
Is there anything that stands out for you? You've been in quite a few different genre kind of festivals.
So festivals like these days, like early days, we had this amazing festival called Big Day Out, which was just featuring a lot of different types of acts, which was pretty cool. It was in 2002, I believe, and the headline act was actually Rammstein.
Oh, wow.
You know those guys?
Yeah, of course.
Man, and I don't listen to them so much these days, but back in the day, I was listening to a lot of them.
That's amazing.
And I went, and I remember it was just incredible. The show that they had there, the presence that they had on stage, and just the craziness of the crowd and everything was just nuts. Yeah. What about you? Have you had big festivals?
Yeah, well, before I talk about that, I just ask you, the festival thing, is it the vibe of the crowd being usually outdoors, right? And they're the fact that you got a lot of different musical acts happening around you. Is that what you love about the festival feel?
Yeah, that's right. Like you get a lot of different subcultures. I think that's one of the coolest things. So and everyone's there in harmony as well, obviously. So you get to see the people who are really into metal and the people who are really into dance and all that sort of stuff, and everyone's just mingling. It's kind of cool. And
my first experience of Oasis was through something called the Livid Festival, which used to be around Sydney, Australia, and that was a great opportunity to see one of my favourite bands.
Was I there? Because I've seen Oasis with you.
Yeah, we saw Oasis separately. So we saw Oasis in 2005, I believe. Don't Believe the Truth kind of tour, and that was the Hordern Pavilion.
The old Hordern, yeah.
So we got to see predominantly Brit crowd. And I remember we had a great experience that night because we were, I guess it was maybe our first concert together. It was a great opportunity to see Liam at his peak. Got to see Chester Bennington's part of Linkin Park, 2007, and we got to see Chris Cornell together in 2011, although you saw him at another occasion as well.
Yeah, I feel super lucky. I've seen both of those guys twice, and brilliant shows, absolutely brilliant shows. The Cornell shows that I saw. I think we
the first one was great. I shouted you the first one.
You did. It was another generous gift from you.
No, but it was a great time because I got to hear Cornell do a couple of Audio Slave songs, and that's how I really came to Cornell. And he did, of course, awesome rendition of Black Hole Sun and Imagine. It was really good.
Yeah, and I remember pretty vividly at my. I think it was the first concert, at the Opera House, where... Actually, no, it was the second one, sorry. He did this ridiculously amazing cover of One, which is...
A mashup of...
The mashup, that's what it is, of U2's music and Metallica's lyrics. For And... it blew me away because I'd never actually heard that before. Like, I know all this stuff's available on the internet and things these days.
Well, I hadn't heard it until you introduced me to it.
Yeah.
I didn't know Chris Cornell did that.
Crazy. I was just sitting there stunned. It was so good.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest covers of all time, I would say.
Yeah.
And Linkin Park, the thing I always remember is 3 big black boxes on the stage. Really simple setup, and you had Shinoda getting on the box, and you had Bennington get up on the box.
I do love that simplicity because it just lets them shine as musicians and artists. And
so now I think of people who you won't be able to see again. So that's why I really rate the Chris Cornell experience in an opera theatre, concert hall. Rage Against the Machine was solid, but see, don't forget that point. It was more retrospective music. Right. They hadn't produced anything new for a while. Cornell was alive, producing things for, comprised from things like Temple of the Dog, which you introduced me to as well, Audio Slave, Soundgarden. So he'd come to a point where, you know, it was really reaching the nexus point, I guess, and of things. And, you know, and that's why now in hindsight, I'd say that's the singular greatest thing, although I still really love, you know, many other acts.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I won't get a chance to see that again. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, what else has been happening this week?
Yeah, well, oh man, you know, like just I don't know, been spending a lot of time in front of my computer.
That's right, because you got this job where you it's remote work, I guess, which means everything is done via internet communication.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, when I started this job, the funny thing is I did have grand visions of sitting on cliff tops,
doing your work,
doing my work. Yeah,
you need Wi-Fi though.
Well, my phone has Wi-Fi, so so if I can find a local cliff top, for example, that has
apparently the top of Everest, you can get reception.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the net, but you can definitely get phone reception.
You can. I don't know
if you. Like people call their loved ones.
You definitely can. People go up there with batteries strapped to their chest and stuff, and then stick it in their phone.
Wouldn't that be a cool thing to do though? To call your loved one from the top of Mount Everest?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I don't think you can actually do it with like a standard phone though. I'm pretty sure you still need like a sat phone or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
you need
but in any case, I still think it's ridiculous that you can actually do that.
Crazy thing, yeah. You look at how like technology like affects. Like, what do you regard to be the most influential things in technology that's affected you personally? Like, what's
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is, I guess we both grew up through the birth of the internet generation. Like, I distinctly remember when Facebook started to get really popular. It was in my first year of uni, I think.
Yeah. And
I was one of those people who, I mean, I've been interested in computers since I was really young.
Yeah. So Facebook was amazing for you?
No, but the thing is, I was actually really resistant against using it. I didn't want to use it.
Yeah, a lot of people are resistant to it because they don't want to be party to it.
I mean, I'm still kind of resistant to using it, even now.
Really.
Yeah, like I post almost nothing. And
except this podcast.
Except this wonderful podcast, and that's it. But in terms of actually day-to-day usage, I really don't use it very often. And
no, I only use it to keep up international friendships.
That's right. That's a great use for it. But
so is that the singular most impactful thing then in your life, like Facebook?
I wouldn't say Facebook. I would say the internet. Yeah.
Oh, the internet is.
Yeah, the internet would definitely be. Yeah.
But why though? Like, what's the?
Well, because it touches every part of our lives. Like, I mean, for example, like you talk about. We talked about looking at concerts, for example, thinking about concerts, right?
Yeah, and you forget.
And in the old days, so before the internet was around, if you forgot what you saw at a concert, or you can't remember it, or you couldn't remember it, what would you do? How would you find that information?
I don't know how you did. But now we can just Google a set list.
Now you can Google set lists. And you can not only do that, you can click on the link and it opens up a video, maybe not of the exact set that you saw, but of the song that you heard.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's unheard of. Like,
that's crazy. Yeah, well, for me, I'm just looking over at my bookshelf. I've got a book called 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. I've seen 65% of it. And the reason I've been able to do that is because I could track all these things through technology.
Yeah.
And when I say technology, I'm not even talking about internet streaming. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about physical media.
Oh, just finding the movie.
I remember I wasted many a uni day when I should have been at a lecture in the uni library because
they used to have the movies there, right?
They had a bevy of Laserdiscs. Now they were LP size.
I remember you
discs.
having a Laserdisc,
and you could catch films in the original widescreen format. People take that for granted now. They used to like cut the sides off the image. And so Laserdiscs were these pure, pieces of technology that allowed you to see films in their original form. So you got to see all these classics that way. And then with the advent of DVDs, I was in heaven. I was basically just purchasing DVDs every week because you got to see not only the film in its original widescreen format, but you had special features like director's commentaries and documentaries, which now, I mean, most of these things you can find like on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
because Laserdiscs obviously came before DVDs.
Yeah, they preceded DVDs.
And
DVDs preceded Blu-ray. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I actually really, really distinctly remember you having these Laserdisc player and Laserdiscs, and you never had many. I remember you had like
just
Unforgiven.
Yeah.
I think you had that one with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Age of Innocence.
Age of Innocence, that one.
Yeah.
And you only had like 5 or so, but you relished those, right?
Yeah.
And one of the funny things is before that, I actually really cherished, and I still have this, right? I've got a widescreen video that I'll never be able to play.
Of Speed.
Of Speed.
On VHS.
With Keanu Reeves. Like, one of Keanu's finest roles.
It's hilarious.
And I've kept this, even though I know that I'll probably never be able to play it again.
No, but you keep it as an artifact.
It's just a relic. It's a relic.
It's an artifact.
It's like, amazing.
It's like someone keeping a piece of jewellery who, it's out of fashion and they wore it for a long time in their lives. You want to keep it because it's sort of like a bit of, it's a sentimental value.
And I remember this is when...
I respect the fact that you're keeping a VHS, bro.
Yeah, I've got to do it.
The other thing is just smartphones. I mean...
smartphones.
Do you remember getting your first smartphone? When was that?
Yeah, I actually do. It was back... So I had a really crappy phone for many years, and then I started working in this little...
electronics.
Like an electronics shop sort of thing.
Yep.
And I think I remember... This was even before the first iPhone came out.
Yeah.
I was in some sort of competition or something where I ended up winning this Hewlett-Packard little... it wasn't even really called a smartphone at the time, but it was like a Windows phone.
PDA, they used to call it?
Yeah, that's it. PDA, that's exactly what it's called.
Personal... Was it diary something or something?
Yeah, no, I think it was personal digital assistant.
Yeah, that's right. Something like that.
Is that what a PDA is? Yeah. And I remember having this, and it was cool. It had a little pen, it had a little flip screen. Yeah. Again, I think I still have this, by the way.
They were forerunners to the mobile
Forerunners to these smartphones. Yeah,
smartphones.
And then I remember, I think I ended up getting on the boat when maybe the iPhone 3 or something came out. Yeah. And then I started to always have these smartphones, like most people do these days. Yeah. When was your first one? Do you remember?
I waited a long time. I really held out. And I waited till like... 2011 was like the year apparently when smartphones took over from traditional phones in market share.
Okay.
And I essentially only got one then. So early adopters of the iPhone, I mean, that was like, you're talking about 27, 28.
What was your first one? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a Galaxy. It was a Samsung.
That was a Samsung.
Actually, no. First one was some Chinese special. Some cheap piece of rubbish that didn't really do anything. You click onto the internet and it was like, I don't know, it was so slow, you know. But then I think I got frustrated with that, and then I ended up getting a Samsung.
Even though it does give you a lot of freedom, it kind of is a shackle as well, because I mean, a good example is like we went and saw Blade Runner the other day, right?
Yeah.
And my phone, I had turned my phone off, but in the first 5 minutes, my phone, I think it beeped or vibrated like about 80 times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And for that, like, is that freedom? That's not freedom. That's like restriction. You know?
I think you're right. It's a pro and a con, like many things in life. Yin and yang things. Talking about this technology, Blade Runner, 2049.
Yeah. Well, we saw it the other day. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I've needed a few days to process it because it's that big a deal. Like, what's your... If I had to say, like, just in a few words or one sentence, what's your feeling about the film?
Oh, look, I think it was a masterfully created follow-up. And we know how difficult it is. This is not one sentence, but we know how difficult it is to make a really good sequel. And not only just a visual and wonderful narrative, all that sort of stuff, but... in terms of actually paying homage to the original ideas and director and vision, I guess, of the story as well. I mean, Blade Runner has a fascinating history about how it actually came to fruition, right? I mean,
that's right. You know the original. Yeah, well, the original thing is that obviously Blade Runner came from one of the writers.
The title, right?
Yeah, the title. Yeah, came from one of the runners. He basically took it from. Another book I can't remember who it was written by, but he took it from this other story and then attached it to this Philip K. Dick story. And the other screenwriter came up with the name Replicants.
That's right, because the original writer didn't call them that. He called them Andes or something.
Yeah, that's right. They were called Andes, Andys. And then the second screenwriter...
Replicants, so much better.
Yeah, David Peoples. His daughter was studying bioengineering or something at the time, and she used the word replicants, and he transposed... He took that and used it in the story.
Yeah.
So that's where we get those two names, and it's interesting, the backstory there.
Yeah. So what if the movie was called Bounty Hunters?
Well, wouldn't have had the same flash about it.
No.
Especially because it's meant to be this futuristic thing.
That's right.
A blade obviously, implies some kind of edginess, and I think that's nice.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that, did you know that the whole story essentially was about a world free of animals? So that's why it's called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Oh, yeah, the original story.
Yeah, because Deckard, in the original story, he had a sheep. He was really proud of his sheep. And when he died, he substituted it with an android sheep. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, that's the story. Because it's about a world it's about mourning a world that's essentially free of animals. Yeah. That's what the original basis of the story was.
Yeah, I didn't know that, because you certainly don't get that impression from watching the film.
No.
I mean, obviously it has that post-apocalyptic kind of feel, or post... What is it? It's post, like...
It's a neo-noir. They call it a futuristic neo-noir.
That's what they call it.
So it takes noir elements, sets it in the future, but it's also, I guess, building upon the traditions of noir. But, the other thing is, he's a batch from the film, but Deckard was married in the book.
He was married?
He was married.
What, to a replicant? Or?
No, to a wife. He had a wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a human. So, yeah, it's interesting. And, so...
but that happens quite often, doesn't it? Like changing when you're adapting it for film, that sort of stuff. But tell me, what do you think about the film made you have to process it over a few days? Because I had a similar
I'll tell you exactly what it was. The fact that Harrison Ford has starred in 3 films with a father-child trope. The whole damn father-child trope has occurred. Can I bring you back to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
Yeah.
Which involved him being the son to Sean Connery as the father.
That's right. And didn't he also have a following one where he was the father to, like, Shia LaBeouf or something like that? Like, wasn't there one of the Indiana Jones?
Could have been. I don't know.
There was a young Indy as well.
Oh, really? So maybe...
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but...
Anyway, so that's the first film that came to mind. Yeah. Second film came to mind, of course, is the J.J. Abrams Star Wars sequel, where Harrison Ford is the father to Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching this third film now, and it's unfolding in front of my eyes. I love the Blade Runner mythology. And all of a sudden, I felt that way as well. All of a sudden, you basically get this thing of Harrison and, his daughter. And I'm like...
Yeah, there was a part of me... Yeah. There was a part of me that sort of felt the same way.
The thing that turned it around for me is this one major scene between the android Joy, which is a hologram partner, to the replicant Kay, played by Gosling. And it's a love scene they share in their apartment. And it's got to do with, I guess, I guess we should have said spoilers ahead, eh?
Yeah, we should have, yeah. Perhaps we can insert that.
Okay, let's say spoilers ahead right now, maybe. But, the thing is, this love scene where it deals with him trying to connect with his hologram. He doesn't even know if he's human. He's trying to connect with a hologram that's definitely not human. They bring in a third party, an actual human girl, that I guess is infused with the spirit of this hologram. It's the only way I can explain it.
It's hard to...
Right? It's hard to describe, but basically the hologram merges with this physical entity, this physical human female.
Yeah.
And this android is trying to process things that are human.
He's trying to, exactly.
He's trying to feel love, whatever love means.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that scene is incredible. Like the whole notion of what is the nature of love between two people, and what's the exact point of knowing or not knowing that you're human.
And not only love as well, also desire. Like it was all about, all of that coming together. And you're right. Like I think I've never seen anything like that either. Like having the 3 parties,
crazily powerful.
Yeah, in this thing, and it's very intense. Like it's and it's not explicit or anything, but it's just extremely.
No, it's a love scene for
intense.
a reason, and it's that it just, I don't know, it just brings you to this existential angst and the whole notion of, I guess in the original film, Harrison is presented as a human who may be a replicant. And in this film, it turns it around, Ryan Gosling is presented as a replicant who may be human in the first instance. And then, so just exploring all these elements, it's just an amazing, amazingly emotional thing and intellectually challenging as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely those elements that really make you question about, in particular about the characters, and then you can reflect back on our own humanity.
Okay.
During the film and also post-film was that when, like, we know that Blade Runner is such a visual feast, like this, the way that they paint these scenes where they're really smoky, really atmospheric light. One of the things that we did speak about, we do kind of miss from the original film was the original film had a lot more really nice sultry kind of jazz in it that was really...
The score was different.
Yeah, well, and the score was still good in the second one, but it just didn't have the exact same sort of feel, because it was missing those elements, I think, and you know.
Yeah, the carryover of elements is important because they basically share the same space or narrative space, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to have a carryover. But I think there were some things that were done really well, like the red imagery, like the red dust storm. Apparently, that's a direct connection to Sydney, Australia, because the cinematographer Roger Deakins, he was looking at photographs of Sydney in 2009. I think it was. Was that the year?
Yeah, I remember the dust storm.
We had a red dust storm.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And he specifically referenced in the interview seeing a picture of the Opera House, which is a famous icon of ours, and he basically he used as a visual reference to the let's say the Las Vegas scenes in Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah. And I think so that was a nice new element. Those kind of scenes.
The other thing that was really good that wasn't really a new element was the fact that any of the sort of digital type of stuff, like when they're accessing computers or phone terminals or it wasn't overdone.
No, it's simple.
Because there was a real danger, I guess, in that it's 35 years or whatever after the first one, that they moved too far away and they, could have put much more high tech, I guess, systems and screens.
But you can never really guess the future, right?
But you can't guess the future. But having that simplicity, actually really works. They still had the future feel, but it was, and I mean the way they achieved it obviously was the blackout, right? To explain everything, to make everyone restart,
Yeah, so still had analog feel in a advanced technological world.
That's the best way to describe it, I think.
Yeah, like you're thinking of like where they looked at these bones and they were looking under a scanner.
Yeah.
And it I guess it's a direct reference to the zooming of the photo in Blade Runner.
Oh, I love
the original.
I love that. I used to sit in my bedroom and look at photos and say, just zoom here, click, go left, stop.
Yeah. And I guess, you get that kind of same thing. And even the opening is very similar. So I believe you start off with a close up of an eye in the first film, and you get that in the new one as well.
Yeah, that's right, because it's the eye of the replicant that they're quizzing or whatever.
Yeah,
testing.
Yeah, and you get those really wide shots where floating cars going through the city. So there's a lot of nice carryover.
Oh, the cars were amazing in the second one.
They were great. They were absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I like that little droid element. I guess it's a floating drone element. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like the roof of the car comes off and then flies around.
It gets to take photos or monitor the situation.
We're not far away from that. We have drones and they do follow you.
That's right.
Right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. This brings me to think of Top Gun 2. Unfortunately, Tony Scott died before it could be made, but that was all going to be about drone warfare. Anyway, Top Gun 2, film that would have been pretty awesome. So as a preview to either episode 9 or 10, I don't know if we'll follow through with this idea, but we were thinking of doing an audio commentary over a 90-minute Steven Seagal classic.
We think it'd be amazing.
Yeah, so either Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Out for Justice, or Mark for Death. Has to be one of those.
One of those, yeah. See,
early classics. Under Siege is a masterpiece, but it's not an early classic.
Well, and just to preface it, we do know that everything he produces nowadays is absolutely awful.
Yeah.
But those early days,
I
think we're doing a service to the world by commentating on this because, or providing commentary, because these are films that everyone should see at least once in their life.
Episode 8.
That's a wrap. Episode 8?
Yeah, it's a big one.
All right. Two Brothers and a Mic.
Two Brothers and a Mic.